Welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, February 2nd. I'm Rick Boyer, the pastor of Prospect Presbyterian Church in Maplewood, New Jersey, and Take a Break, Take a Breath is an invitation to you to stop for a few minutes, to just breathe and center yourself in God who made you and loves you and calls you by name. Right now, part of the way we are doing that is by imagining ourselves in the readings of the Gospel of Luke. So each day I offer you a different story and then guide you through it after some relaxation exercises and have you see it from the perspective of different people in the story. Today we're going to look at the story from Luke 4:14 to 30. It's a story of Jesus' return to his hometown. Word spreads about what all Jesus is doing and how great his teachings are. And when he goes to his hometown, it's the Sabbath. And so he goes to the synagogue, as was his custom. And everyone is watching him, and a scroll is handed to him, and he rolls it open to a certain place. We don't know, to answer some of your questions, we don't know if that was the assigned reading for the day or if Jesus went and found that reading. The other thing he does that would be different from our custom is he stands to read and then he sits to teach. That was the normal practice in those days. So if you haven't already done so, I invite you to go to a quiet place in your house. If the room has a door, shut the door and settle into a chair. Close your eyes. Feel the support of that chair on the back of your legs and on your back. If it has arms, under your arms. Take just a minute to do that. And then take a deep breath. And as you breathe in the breath of God. And as you breathe out all that separates you from God. Keep breathing deeply. Breathe in the breath of life. And breathe out all that does not give you life. Breathe in God's peace. Breathe out all of your worries and fears and anxieties and anything that disturbs your peace. Keep breathing deeply and continue to allow your body to relax. Maybe imagine it like settling into a hot tub. You come to the edge of the hot tub, and as you put your feet into the water on that first step, the peace of God settles on your feet. And it brings relaxation and relief to your aching feet. And as you step down a little further, you're in up to your knees. And your calves begin to relax. And the weariness of running around is washed away. And you step down a little further and you're in up to your waist. Now your thighs begin to relax. Maybe you've been running up and down the steps a lot, so your thighs are weary. But they begin to relax now. The cramps go away. Then you slip down into a chair. And so you are in up to your neck. Your stomach relaxes. The agitations that are there in your stomach are calmed. Your breathing gets nice and deep and stays nice and deep as you breathe in the steam that comes off of the water in the hot tub. Your heart rate is calm and resting. Your back, the muscles in your back respond to the warmth, and the tensions in your back unwind your shoulders and arms and hands relax. It's almost as if your arms are floating a little bit. Your hands open up. Your shoulders unhunch. Relief comes to all of the muscles in your shoulders and arms. The tensions in your neck are eased. You dip your face down into that water. And as you do so, the peace of God settles on your face and the muscles in your jaw relax. And your brow unfurrows. You dip your head back and let your head be submerged for a while. And as you do so, a calm comes on your mind. And all the things that are bouncing around in your mind settle down and find a place to land for a while. You are in the presence of God. God's peace settles on every part of who you are. The physical parts that we can touch and the emotional and spiritual parts. All of it is touched by the peace and presence of God. In your mind's eye, imagine a synagogue from the days of Jesus. It's not big. It's enough for the townspeople to gather. There's a raised platform in the front. You've been hearing about Jesus. Hearing a lot about Jesus. The leader in the synagogue opens the tabernacle and takes out a scroll and hands it to Jesus. He unrolls it on the table, the speaker's table there. We call it a bema today in a synagogue. And he finds a place in the scriptures. You're watching with intent. And he starts to read from the prophet Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord is upon us and upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the people, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, to set the captives free, to help the blind to see. It is the year of the Lord's favor. All will go free. You can hear the people around you. They're saying, wait, isn't this Joseph's son? You watch as he sits down to teach. And he says, today, this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing. Well, now the talk about them saying, isn't this Joseph's son, gets louder. And he says, in response, doubtless you will quote to me the old proverb, doctor, cure yourself. And then he goes on and he lifts out two other scripture readings that are familiar. He doesn't read the scriptures, but he tells the story. He tells the story of Elijah. And he says, when there was a famine, when the heavens were shut up for 3.5 years and it didn't rain, Elijah, the great prophet, wasn't sent to someone from his own country, but to a widow in Zarephath, a foreign country. And he took care of her and fed her. You can hear the mumbling in the crowd now. And then he goes on and he says, or Elisha, when he cured a leper. He didn't cure a leper in his own country. A slave girl who was captured by the Syrians, a Jewish slave girl who was captured by the Syrians, is told about Elisha. So an enemy, a commander of the army of the enemy, was healed by Elisha. Jesus continues, a prophet is not without honor except in his own land. Now people are really talking, and they're not talking in a nice way or any great respect like they had at first, but now they are really upset, and they're pushing Jesus and guiding him out to the top of the hill in town, to the edge of the hill, and they're ready to push him off, and that's what they plan to do, because how dare he? And somehow he slips through the middle of them all and continues his ministry in other places. Could you see all of that? What did you notice? What did you feel? What does it stir up in you? Jesus comes to you now and invites you to talk about what happened in his hometown and what is stirred up in you. I'll be quiet while the two of you talk. Well, the time comes for the conversation to end, so the two of you bring it to an end in whatever way is appropriate and say goodbye in whatever way is appropriate. And you allow that image to fade away. And bring yourself back to the room where you are. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That's Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, February 2nd. Our reading was Luke 4:14 to 30. I invite you to read it over a couple more times, maybe reading it and looking at it or imagining it from the perspective of different characters. Maybe the person who handed Jesus the scroll, or maybe even put yourself in the place of Jesus and see what he saw. If you have feedback for me, or you want to talk or pray, send an email to rick@prospectchurch.org.